Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. This is episode 147. On today's episode, we are talking about opera, which I'm excited about because I don't really know much about kind of the history of opera and when it started and kind of how it evolved. And so I'm excited to be able to learn about this amazing, wonderful art form that just in order to do opera, you have to have such a unique God-given talent, which I don't have. I don't even have singing talent. But I'm excited to sit down with Courtney Mills. She has sang with the New York Metropolitan Opera, I believe it's called, and also went viral during COVID, singing for people to lift their spirits during the lockdowns when she was in Italy. So we're going to hear about how her life has really changed from that. And just like take a deep dive into opera. It's always important. I love this podcast because it allows me to learn so many new things, and you guys get to come on this journey with me. So that is always very exciting. I still can't believe it's almost the end of the month. It is absolutely crazy. I don't even know what day it is. Oh my gosh, it is already the 24th. No, it's not. It's March. We're in March. So this is a little crazy that we're in March. Obviously, things have been hectic in a good way. So this is going to be a great year. You guys, I hope you're keeping to your resolutions. I hope that this is becoming the best year ever, if not going to become the best year ever. We had more crypto people that were on, so I hope you guys are all tuning into those episodes because I want you guys all to be healthy and wealthy. That is my main focus of this podcast. And if you guys could please rate and review us on Apple or Spotify or any other platform, that would be greatly appreciated. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you're looking for. Let us know what we can do better. Let us know what you love. That feedback really helps us kind of form the show to make sure you guys are getting what you want. I just still can't believe it's been almost 2.5 years with this podcast, and I have met so many amazing people. I have worked with some people that I've met on here, which is unbelievable, and it's just a great journey. So I'm so happy you guys are on this with me. I recently got a chemical peel. So those are you watching the YouTube. If you see little flakes on my face, it's just because I'm still shedding like a snake. I got the VI peel. It's a good peel. It doesn't hurt. You kind of look somewhat normal. You smell bad for the first day, like a chemical, but then it kind of, you just start peeling lightly like a snake and just gives you kind of like a glow, gets rid of any dullness or texture. So if you're looking for a peel before summer, because you cannot do it in the summer months, go and get a VI peel. They are not paying me. I wish they were. Maybe they will. VI, contact me. But yeah, so that's what's going on. Everything is good. I've still got exciting news to share, hopefully very soon. So please keep an eye out for that. And are you guys ready to learn about opera? Opera? I went to one opera in my life, okay? I didn't fully understand it. So it was hard for me to fully enjoy it. And there was reading involved. And I was like, huh? And I'm trying to read and I'm trying to watch the beautiful costumes and the artists. And I was just a little overwhelmed because I wasn't prepared. So I think it's important that you guys understand when you go to an opera that you know what you're going into and you know how to kind of best enjoy it. And that's what this podcast is going to do. So I'm excited to learn more with you guys and be able to finally then go to an opera when I get back to New York City and really appreciate it and enjoy it more. So I think I already said our guest went viral and she's going to tell us all about that and how her career changed and just amazing stuff. Courtney Mills. Courtney, welcome to Next to Madison. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you doing?
I am good. So Courtney's in Italy, so she is joining us very late at night. So I'm so honored that she's staying up late for me because if somebody asked me to do something at 11 p.m. on a weekday, I would be like, go fly a kite. So I'm very honored. I had no idea it was this late when my producer booked it. So I'm very happy to be here.
Totally not a problem. I'm kind of a night owl anyway because most operas start around 8 o'clock. So I'm used to being up late. So it's not a problem.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I was talking in my intro that I don't know anything about opera and it was hard for me to enjoy my first one because I don't understand the history. So I want to talk about how, like, the history of opera. Like, when did this musical form first start, like this art form?
Well, it's it depends on what you call opera, because you can actually consider musical theater something as modern today as opera. But then you can also go back to old Roman or Greek theater when there would be some sung text, and that could be it. We went through a religious period where the only music was in churches. So it really depends. But I would say Italy is really like the motherland of opera, which is one of the reasons I live here. I absolutely adore it here. So when you do go see an opera, most of the operas you will see are in Italian. But I've sung operas in Italian, German, French, Russian. I've worked on some stuff in Czech. And there's Spanish. I've done scenes from Florencia. That was in Spanish, which was really hard because it's so close to Italian that people will be like, you have an Italian accent. And I'm like, I'm trying. So, yeah. So, and then obviously English as well. And then, like I said, some of the musical theater stuff, like Bernstein, would be considered in the opera canon because it's very well composed and all of that. But it is really just theater with music. It gets tricky when you go see an Italian opera and you don't speak Italian. So I know you had mentioned like it was weird for you to read the words while you were watching. But like one trick too, which is actually a really funny story, because one of the first times I went to see an opera with my mom, we went to the Metropolitan Opera in New York, and I was already working there at the time, but she hadn't really seen many operas. I think we saw Aida maybe in my hometown. It was a touring thing. And so we went to see Traviata, which is a really famous story. The music is amazing. If you heard some of the melodies, you would recognize them because they use them in movies and things like that. But she went to it like you did, like going to go see a musical, and didn't know the story, any of that. And the guy sitting in the box with us turns to us during the first intermission, and he goes, so does Violetta die on this side of the stage or the other side of the stage? Because I want to have a good view. And my mom turns to me when he like kind of like left the box or whatever, and she goes, he told us the end of the story. Yeah. And I'm like, yes. But the thing with opera, which the first time you see something, maybe you want to go and not know the story and see what happens. But the Met does La Traviata almost every year. They do Tosca almost every year. So most people who go to the opera, they already know the story, which helps a lot.
Okay.
So I would suggest maybe reading the story beforehand. They also sell librettos, so you can read all of the words and everything. But depending on the opera, the words are more important than some others. So like if you go back to Handel, the singers will keep repeating the same thing over and over again, but changing the vocal line to add more trills and kind of like Christina Aguilera type, like flourishes, but like old school style, whereas if you go see something that's more romantic or dramatic, the words are more like we would have a conversation, so you would have to pay attention a little bit more to what was being said. But yeah, so that's kind of, I don't know.
Okay, so that's a good, so when somebody handed me those tickets in New York, I should have read the story. See, I'm glad, I wish I would have had this podcast before that experience. I was like, I'm so lost. Like I couldn't even enjoy it, and it was hard for me, but I know it's such a beautiful art form. That's why I'm like, I need to learn about this. I need to enjoy this. I want to go back again with a whole new understanding. So now I'm going to read. So
it helps. It helps a lot.
How did you first get into opera? Like what was the whole kind of driving force behind it?
Well, I just always had to sing. Like singing was not an option. Like from when I was a baby, I was singing. So, I wanted to study singing, and I got into Interlochen Arts camp. So I went to the camp in Michigan. It's a great camp. It's really big in the summer, and then it gets very, very small during the winter. When I was there were about 400 students. So I got accepted to the school year, which is a boarding high school, and it's international. I think this year they have 25 different countries represented, which is awesome. Yeah, I'm really, really, really excited because one of my best friends started a music school in Kabul, Afghanistan, back after the Taliban was out, and now they're back again. So the music school was destroyed. You may have seen the pictures online of the instruments that were destroyed by the Taliban. That was
Yeah,
her.
I remember that. Yeah.
So she worked really hard, and I did what I could to help to get one of her students to Interlaken. So we have a girl from Afghanistan there this year, and she's composed music. She's a cellist that has been played in London and all over the world already, and she's 15. So it's a really amazing school, and they help out a lot. So I'm there, and I wanted to do Broadway or pop music or whatever. And they're like, well, you can sing really high and your voice is really loud, because with opera, we don't use microphones. And why don't you look at opera? And I was like, I don't know. Like I'd been to a symphony, and the ballet. I love the ballet, but I didn't know anything about it. So I started listening to it. I started singing some Mozart, and it was just really, really fun. And I kind of just found my niche, and it's been a roller coaster, but it's really fun. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
That's so cool. I mean, that's like a God-given talent.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it, you learn some of it, but I feel like it's in you. You either have it or you don't, and then you expand upon it.
It's definitely part of who I am.
Yeah, like I don't think if you sent me to opera school that I would be trying out for the Met next year. It just wouldn't happen.
Well, I don't think anyone usually goes straight to the Met. I did 2 years in high school, and then I did a couple years in college, and then I sent my stuff to the Met, and they took me. So that's my story, but I made my Met debut at a very young age. Most people arrive there quite a bit later. The thing about opera is we never stop studying. We never stop learning. It's a constant battle uphill, but also like it's so worth the ride. But it's funny because I'll talk to people and I'm like, I have to go study. And they're like, are you taking a class? And I'm like, no, but I have to go study my music. And I'll be like, oh, I just saw my teacher. And they're like, you have a teacher? Like, aren't you a professional singer? And I'm like, yes. But there's always things that people can hear that I can't hear, because my sound is inside my body when I hear it.
Right.
Whereas what you hear is different than what I do. So we always have teachers that keep us on track. And yeah, it's like being an athlete. You have to make sure your machine is always online and in track. And
yeah, wow. I mean, that's just amazing. So how did you learn to sing in all those different languages?
Oh, I would say that that's one of the harder things in the beginning, for sure. And it's interesting because some languages come easier than others. And that's different by the person that's studying. So like I have a friend who French just came like that. For me, I can study French for days and days. And it's still like, oh, your accent is so cute. Like I did a recital at the Louvre in Paris. And I worked my butt off on my French songs, and I was singing in 5 different languages. And the rest of it I was kind of okay with. And the guy from Radio France comes up after, and he literally said that to me. He's like, you got great voice, we love it, and your French, it is so cute. And I was like, so you can hear the accent. But then Russian, I did one coaching, which is what we call when we work with someone who works with us on language or on musical stuff. And then we have our teachers, which are like for the vocal things.
Okay.
So I went to a coach and I worked on some Russian songs, 1 hour. And then there was someone from the Bolshoi who was at the Met doing some coachings. And they said, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, of course. So I take these Russian songs and I'm like, she's going to, tear me to pieces because, I've never sung in Russian really before. And I went in there and she had a translator because she didn't speak English. And they start talking after I started singing a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know. And all of a sudden the translator left. And the lady started talking to me in Russian, and I was like, I don't speak Russian. She thought I was like Russian, or my parents were, or something like that. So I had to bring the translator back.
Oh my God. Well, it's probably the blonde hair too, and that you were able to sing so well in it.
No, it was really funny though, but it was definitely one of those moments where you're like, what is going on? But that's also one of the most amazing parts of this job is it's so international. Like I've worked with people from all around the world. So I get to like experience their cultures. They get to experience mine. And it's a really nice way for all of us to come together and do something positive that hopefully people get a lot out of. So it's been great.
I mean, yeah, it's remarkable, and it's so amazing. So you're able to sing in all those languages, but you don't speak all those languages.
No, I do not speak all of those languages.
Okay.
I wish I did. I have a friend, his name's Emilio. He speaks all of them, but he made a point of, in college, he was already bilingual, but he would make a point of every year having a roommate from a different country and then only speaking with them in that language, which is a little bit more than what I did. But no, I speak Italian fluently now, and I speak some German. And I understand French somewhat, but I don't speak it. And because it doesn't look like it sounds, and it can be hard. It depends on the accent too. Some people are very clear about the words, but sometimes French to me sounds like all the words are going together. So it's always something. But then again, with that, I work in a lot of different countries. So this past summer, I worked in Austria for 3 months.
Wow.
I was in Saudi Arabia. I was in France. So so that's the other thing with this job is like you live out of a suitcase, which can be fun, but it can also be like, oh my gosh, I get to go home.
Yeah.
And then, because I was gone this summer. I think I was gone for 4 months before I got a weekend to come home and change out some luggage and do some stuff before I left again, which I am not complaining about because COVID has been a nightmare. And so whenever we get the chance to work now, we're super grateful for it. But it can be kind of stressful to not be home for long periods of time.
Well, yeah. And when you're home, like I don't travel as much as you do, but when you're home, you're able to stick to your routines and routines are healthy. But when you're, on the road, it's hard to stick to those kind of routines. And I usually find myself kind of falling off and then having to really work hard to get back on my routines when I get home. So yeah, it's like you got to really stay disciplined. But you were talking about COVID. Obviously, it was very difficult for all the artists out there when everything was just kind of shut down and so many people. But you had a life-changing moment during COVID, and I want to hear about it. Viral sensation, you?
Oh, well, I think it's funny because we all think, oh, maybe I'll make this really cool video and it'll go viral and whatever. I'm not super tech savvy, so the TikTok stuff, I don't do that, but I enjoy watching other people who do it. But there was just this day that, so it was like in the heart of when Italy was shut down and you couldn't go further than 200 meters from your house. And I was completely alone. And my friend has a restaurant, which was right by my house. So she had permission to go check on her business and then go home. So what I was doing at that time was I was isolating with her, but I was sleeping in my house. So she would come to her job where she has her restaurants, pick me up. We would go to her house. I would spend the day there. And then she would drop me off at my house and I would sleep in my house that night. And so the lady that you see in the video is her mother. So I would spend most days with, and we ate really, really well because, she has a restaurant. And so she had all of the food that was like, it was great. So that was amazing. But anyway, so this was right at the beginning and people couldn't go anywhere. Like 200 meters is not very far. You could only go to the grocery store. You were only supposed to go to the grocery store 1 day a week or 1 day every 10 days, even though, lots of people would be like, oops, I forgot to buy milk, just so they could get out of the house.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the dogs had never been walked so much in their lives. Like it was crazy. But yeah, so I was over there and they made an announcement on TV that, because everyone was watching the same shows in Italy because there are not as many channels as we have in the States. And, they watch more live TV than we do because I'm the on-demand queen. When I'm at home, I'm like, oh, what did I record? So anyway, so everyone's watching the news and they make an announcement that tomorrow night we're going to do singing on the balconies in all the different countries, and we'll play the songs on TV and you guys can just open your windows and go on a balcony or whatever. And all of the neighbors sang to each other. And it was such a beautiful thing. I think sometimes people don't understand how important music and art is, but that's something I could talk to you about in a minute. Because it really does bring us together. And so after we were singing on the balcony, all the neighbors in her little building were like, sing another song, because they could hear that I'm a singer. So I sang Quante Partirò, or Time to Say Goodbye by Andrea Bocelli. And my friend made a video. And this is literally like it's not the worst video, but it's like when you're like self-judging yourself and all of that, and you're going to put something out there, you're like, you cannot put that on Facebook. Because in the beginning, I'm talking to the mom and I kind of like mumbled a word incorrectly in Italian. I look terrible. My hair's not done. I'm not wearing makeup. I'm in my COVID clothes. It don't really fit great. She cut off the video before the high note. Like, there's just like a laundry list of reasons why that video should not have worked. And then like, she's like, I'm just going to put it on my Facebook. Like, only my friends will see it. And I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah. 15 million views later. And it went crazy. I like woke up the next day and I had thousands of messages, like all of the comments and everything else. But it was really nice because they got even stricter with the rules. So it was going to be too dangerous to go to her house. So there were like 3 days or maybe even more. Feels like 3, but it could have been 10. You never know with COVID, where I was in my house just responding to, I tried to respond to everyone who left a message on the video. There were other people who took the video and reshared it on their thing. So between like the 4 main ones, there were 15 million views, lots of responses in many different languages. But it was amazing because like a lot of people told me that the video meant so much to them. I got messages from people who were sick. I got messages from doctors and nurses saying, I have a 10-minute break, and when I go on my 10-minute break, I listen to your song, which, I mean, that's not something you can ever expect, want, or hope for. It's just a whole other level of like human connection. And I felt so blessed to be able to have done something that meant so much to people. And in turn, they kind of saved me too, because those messages were like, they came really at the moment where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I was going through a really bad divorce. I'm in a country where like I don't have any family, even though I love it here. I love it. There's no work. We have no idea when there's going to be work again. Italy was hit harder than the US in the beginning, but that was about the time that I think New York was starting to get hit pretty badly too. So it wasn't even like, okay, I could leave Italy and go to the States and at least be with family. And so it was just, it saved me in many ways too. And I've made lifelong friends out of it. At least I think they're lifelong friends. It's been 2-year friendships at least, but yeah, I made some really good connections. There was a lady who's a general for the United Nations in Thailand, and she wants me to come out there and sing for something. But in the meantime, I've been doing some speeches for the United Nations.
Oh my gosh.
Cool. Yeah, so that's something that came out of it. I got to sing for Formula One in Monza, which was really cool. I didn't know I liked Formula One, but then the Netflix, like, it's kind of like what I told you about the opera, where you like read about it first, then you can kind of understand what's happening.
Yeah.
I watched the Netflix documentary online, and then all of the pilots, they call them, the drivers, they have like the craziest personalities, and they're so funny. And so I was like, it was just a really cool experience. And I got to sing the Italian national anthem in Italy. So that made me feel like I was less of an expat. And so that was cool. Yeah.
So that was like a life-changing thing. And that's the thing too, is some of the best moments that we have, we can't plan for. Sometimes when you're just your authentic self, no makeup, not great clothes, just you, because you were unguarded. You were just doing your thing. You were with friends. You were safe. And but that's what people want to see, that real authentic, not this all made up, filtered out person that looks like they took 3 hours to get ready for a damn video. And so that was like, I mean, have you thanked your friend like a million times? Or you're like, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, she was also really, really shocked, but it was really, really nice. And I had another friend who had like passed it on to one of the major Hispanic like travel journalism things, like, because they do a lot of online stuff as well. And that's another like link that went crazy. So so I also thanked him a lot too, because he also just sent it to someone and they shared it and it just kept going. But yeah.
That's so cool. I know there was a girl here in the States that I had done comedy with, and she was making little TikTok videos just to get herself through living in a studio apartment. And then did one that just took off, and her life has changed too. It's like when you go viral for the right thing, not the wrong thing, the right thing.
Right. Yes.
How life changing, and in such a positive it can be. But sometimes it's like when I'll share videos, or I'm like, oh, I don't have enough followers around or enough of this, but if people like it, they will share it.
And it also shows you that like we judge ourselves so harshly, and
So
oftentimes like, we have no idea what it is that actually people want to see. And I think maybe those filters like actually block people from connecting in some ways.
Well, yes, because sometimes like when you see, when you're on Instagram or something like that, and you see, I just got like coffee on my nose, and you see, these supermodels that look so perfect, and I'm like, nobody can connect with that. That's not even real.
Right.
Like, it's insane. You know what I mean? I'm like, take the filters off. But I didn't really have a TikTok. I was just trying, I've moved more to the writing, producing side, and I didn't really have that. I didn't care about social media as much, except for the show. And so people are always asking me about my skincare routine. What do you do to your face? What do you do?
Amazing skin.
Oh, well, thank you. I got a new studio light, so that helps too.
Okay.
But
I don't think it's the light, but okay.
I just had a peel, so I'm a little snaky, like right back here. It peels from like here. Starts to, but luckily like the light's kind of hiding it. I thought I'd be done today, but no, it's like right here now. So the rest,
I really see it.
Yeah,
see it.
I know.
I love a good peel though. Oh.
It is good, except for like it's the hardest thing. You just want to grab it and be like, but you can't.
Yeah.
Like you just want to peel it off.
Little. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I did the laser thing, and I don't like the laser thing.
Well, lasers are good, except they're painful.
They're painful, but also like they're like it's gonna take away the red, but it made it worse because I have very kind of like reddish skin.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It didn't probably help that I was going to Hawaii right after, but I did try to stay out of the sun and put all the things on. But it just I didn't get the same type of result. But whatever.
Yeah, right. Well, it's just always different lasers. Like I'm in Colorado right now, and I just learned. I was going to this dermatologist, and we're going back to opera. Don't worry, guys. When let me get through my point of my TikTok channel that I'm going to plug right now. No, I'm just kidding. So. Colorado, because we're so high and the sun is so strong, there's actually more sun here than there is in Miami Beach per year. So I was going to this dermatologist here before I went back to New York, and I was like, I don't feel like the lasers are as strong. They don't have the certain lasers I liked in New York. And then I realized like there's actually like a law in Colorado where the lasers can't be as strong here because of the sun. Because what would happen was people wouldn't listen, and they wouldn't apply sunscreen every 80 minutes or 2 hours, and they would start getting worse results, and their skin was more prone to sun damage right after that laser. And so they just couldn't make it as strong. So if I need to go get a strong laser, I gotta leave and go somewhere where it's cloudy and depressing, like New York City. No, not always depressing, but in the winter. No offense. I still live there as I bash it.
I've lived in New York and I love it, but I also, I understand the feeling of like, oh my God, it's gray all day, every day for a week.
Yeah. So no, I did this. So I started because people would be like, what is your skincare? So I said, okay, I'm going to do a TikTok channel just for my skincare. Nothing else is going to go on there. It's just going to be my skincare. It's hard to keep up with because you get that self-conscious. So I have a whole TikTok channel. It's under, I think, Madison Malloy. Maybe it's Madison Malloy 19.
I'll find it.
Yes, please do. But the whole entire, and I can't believe I did this, videos and all the videos, because it's skincare, is me with no makeup on. None.
Oh, okay.
So talk about being vulnerable. I just was under the impression that no one's going to see this shit. I'm good. Not true. So I'm like, I'm hoping, but I don't know how to do all the little like crazy things. Cause I remember watching this girl, there was a New York Post article on her that I saw, and she was like, how this 30-year-old looks so young. And I'm like, F her. 30, that is young. You know what I mean? I wanted to be like, okay, no, New York Post needs to cover me, how this almost 40 something looks young. Cause like 30 is not old. I'm sorry. It's just not.
No, it's really not. It's really, really not. Especially not in today's climate. I mean, look at the girls from Sex and the City.
Right. I'm like, they need to be taking skincare advice from me. Like I've been able to hold the clock back. You know what I mean? Now I smoked for 17 years. So it's not like I was exactly healthy, you know, what I mean? And very stressed, very stressed. So anyways,
and I think around 40 is when like it's really important to know what you're doing when you're taking care of your skin.
Oh,
30, you can still kind of be stupid and fall asleep with your makeup on. And
I think I was in Miami 2 weeks ago, and I definitely woke up in my makeup. My eyes were all swollen. And I was like, oh, I'm like, thank God I spend so much money per year to turn back the stupid shit I've done over the years.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just like waiting for one of the, I'm not really waiting for it, but I could just imagine when one of those actually like went viral. If it went viral for some reason, I would be like, oh my God, now nobody really knew me. And now all of a sudden they're like, look at this chick with no makeup on. But I'm very relatable with no makeup on. Well, all the time I feel, but so it's kind of good.
Yeah.
You'll see what I'm talking about. There's no, because I'm fair, when you don't have like mascara or eyeshadow or on, like you feel like your eyes kind of start to disappear in your face.
Oh yeah, my eyes get real small. Like
yeah.
really
You're like, where did my face go? Exactly. So anyways, back to that. So if you guys are looking to go viral, don't try to go viral.
I totally agree. Don't try.
Yeah.
I did some other balcony videos for this place at Piazza Navona, which is one of the bigger piazzas in Rome. It's really beautiful and famous. And there's a very famous church there. And inside of the church, there was an apartment where one of the popes lived. And so it's now available for like holidays and things like that. I think it's like $5,000 a night though. So it's very expensive, but it's very, very pretty. And so I was singing there, and we had the team that does all of the videos for Bocelli. And so it couldn't have been any more curated, right? Like you've got one of the most beautiful places in Rome. You've got the best film crew ever. And I posted them, and it like my friends liked it. The people on my page like it. It's great. It was not like it was like 2 likes, but it was nowhere near what happened with the first one. So yeah, I don't know. And then they've also got like the Facebook algorithms and the Instagram algorithms, and I don't know. It's like a second job to know how to do all of that.
Well, that's why you got to hire these social media managers. But I feel like it's like once you start to really get ahead of the curve. I mean, you could spend your whole paycheck making this stuff. And it's like, is the ROI definitely going to be there? But yeah, it's like you got to engage with the people. And I need to do better about that on this show too. But I just need a social media manager because I'm trying to do 100 different things at once,
Yeah, I'm sure you're super busy all the time.
Yeah. So it's just like you try. And then you also, you got to make time for to wind down and connect with people as well. So like I make sure that's important because I don't want to sit here with a ton of money in my bank account one day and absolutely no memories to share.
Right. Except the ones that were curated for Instagram, right?
Exactly. So you want to, so I've always like have that kind of work-life balance where I try to, enjoy things, not say no to things and do new opportunities.
I do really like, the aspect that social media does keep us in touch with people too. Like, and I kind of use it more for that than I do for self-promotion, even though I've gotten work off of the videos and things like that. But it's like having a job where I'm always traveling, which I'm sure it's really nice to have those things where like you can say, oh, so-and-so had her kid, there's a baby picture, and it doesn't require a 45-minute phone conversation when you don't have time for it. But like,
True.
It's really nice. Like you can really stay in touch with people. If you're going to be in Rome, I'm here. You can send me a quick message. We can get a coffee. Like, yeah. So that's always really nice. I like that part of it too. So I try to. Another reason I don't really want someone running my socials, because then it's not me. It's somebody else who's talking for me or responding to my messages so that's also a weird thing. I don't know. Cause I had someone who wanted me to do that, and an agent I was working with, and I was like, can't, because then it's really inauthentic, because it's not me.
That's a good point. Yeah, I guess like you handle it until you can no longer handle it, or maybe you
Right.
co-do it. You have somebody
Mhm.
that does it along with you. But it really is, the whole algorithm thing is crazy. I actually had my Instagram account. I've talked about it on this show. My Instagram account was hacked in December.
Oh
So I had
no.
over like 10,000 followers and all of this stuff and gone. I had tried to reach Facebook, aka Meta. They're as useless as
That is the worst. They
sand inside. Ugh.
they block people for no reason too. Like I've had friends who like literally posted, I don't know, a cat video, something stupid that was harmless, and then they're like told that they can't be online for 24 hours or 48. Oh, so this is this happened to me. I have a friend, this happened to me. I have a friend in Rome who's a very famous actress in Italy. She's wonderful. She's also a comedian, and she's just amazing. And she has like 1.7 million followers, right?
Uh-huh.
So whenever we go out to lunch or whatever, sometimes she'll like tag me, and then my story views are usually around 1,000 or whatever, even though I have 10,000 followers. So it's like how many followers you have and how many are active are totally separate things.
Yeah.
But like it would go from 1,000, maybe 2,000 views to it went to like 15,000 views of my stories. And they
Wow.
shut me up for a week because they thought I was phishing or something. Like because I had so much traffic to my page, just because this one girl had posted me a couple times, like I could not use my Instagram for a week, and I wanted to kill Mark Zuckerberg.
I know. Well, mine's gone. So I just went over. I had a smaller page for the podcast, and I was like, well, I'm just going to use that like as my main thing, and it'll draw more focus to the podcast. And like that's all I can do. I've tried to contact them. I opened up an ad campaign on Facebook just to be like, look, I'm a paying customer. Help me. And then they were like, oh, we'll pass over your case study. They're in some other country in some call center is what happens. And then they pass it back. And then they were probably like, she didn't spend enough. Like, screw her. I don't know. But I never
You
heard
have
anything.
to
I kept
pay to get
following up.
customer service.
Huh?
So you have to pay to get customer service.
Basically, yeah. In order to
That's
like get to
crazy.
the business. Oh, it's so backwards. Mark Zuckerberg. When they lost 20%, I was like, woo! I'm so happy. Like, screw that. They're so, don't take this down on Facebook. I'm sure it'll be like, this is flag. Like, you know what? Suck it. There are going to be other platforms because I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. So what I need to do is everyone's like, okay, maybe you're just not being aggressive enough. So I think I just need to like this person's email, like just email them. Any update? Every hour. Any update? Any update? And eventually maybe they will like be like, okay, this woman's not letting up. It is like borderline harassment. And I'll be like, no, just give me my page back.
Well, there was something where I had to do
So
like updates for
upset.
updates or whatever, but like after like a certain amount of updates, they're like, we looked into the problem, and that was it. There was like no other way to respond, or no, they're impossible. Like if something goes wrong, they're just absolutely impossible.
Well, I know. And it's like, if you get a link from Instagram on your direct messages that says like you're in copyright violation or something, don't click it. They're just going to they're just going to freeze your post or delete the post. They're not just going to shut you down. Well, unless you're doing something really weird, they're just not going to shut you down. So like, don't
Okay.
do that because then that person turned my page into an Instagram support page. Like you had to scroll down to see it was still my page. So my friends were like, like your account is like reaching out to us. I'm like, don't click the link. But then I don't know if it was just from my account or whatever. Then all these other people I knew started getting hacked and their accounts are gone. So it wasn't the end of the world. I'm not a model. I'm not an Instagram influencer. Like I had a different focus for my career. So it was like, it wasn't like, oh, there goes my income type thing. But so now I'm like, so many bots get attached to these Instagram accounts that I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I had a lot of bots that were on my old account because the engagement wasn't as high as the number. So I'm like, oh, perfect. Now I can start fresh. If I see people that follow me that have zero posts or they just look fishy, I can just remove them. Versus
Yeah.
before, I just couldn't I couldn't keep track of it. But yeah,
And it's better if you have like 4,000 followers or something, but they're active than having 15 and only 10% are active anyway.
well,
Because all of the companies that are gonna maybe give you promotional stuff and whatever, they all see the percentage of like how active your followers are versus how many you have. Like the bigger
right.
companies. So if you have 100,000 followers, but none of them care, like,
Yeah, you're not getting shit.
nobody offer you anything. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's so
better.
true. So true. So how important is social media when you are doing an opera? Do they encourage you guys to always like promote
Woo,
there?
this
Or?
conversation. So this is where I get like in trouble with the opera world. But the opera world is kind of a dinosaur when it comes to publicity and marketing.
Okay.
In my opinion, but also like sales numbers. When Peter Gelb took over the Met, he did the HD broadcasting, which was great because now someone in a small town wherever can go to the opera in the movie theater. And it's cool because they take you backstage, they explain things to you, you meet some of the famous singers, they'll do interviews and stuff. And that's really awesome. But like one of the things about opera that I think a lot of people don't realize, unless you're really into reading like novels and stuff from a different time period, is it used to be a huge social event as well. And it still should be. Where I sang Turned On over the summer, it had aspects of that. There was like a champagne area and all this other stuff, and people would get together and socialize, and people dressed for it, and that's fun.
Yeah.
So the opera world right now doesn't know if people should be allowed to wear jeans or not. And I think there are times when like it's okay and it's fine. Opening night is never that. It's never that. But there's the aspect of who's in the audience and who are they with. Like it used to be, the opera glasses they say are for seeing what's happening on the stage. But if you go to the opera, you can see what's on the stage pretty well. A lot of times those opera glasses were for spying on people in other boxes because Marquis so-and-so was over there and the Countess was in his box, but the Countess is married to the guy who's not there that night. Like there was always this other thing, and like the newest dresses would be shown at the opera and all of that. So no, I think that the opera world needs to get onto social media. One of my friends actually just posted today, and I responded that I agreed with him, that this rule of not being able to do little Instagram stories during the opera is a mistake. And maybe they could say, okay, the first 15 minutes you can do it, or the last 15 minutes you can do it, if they don't want it throughout the entire thing. But if you don't have anyone posting on social media, if there's no, like, how do we sell things today?
Yeah.
Look at not Kylie, the other one, Kendall Jenner, right? She's almost a billionaire, mostly because of social media and because she's on TV.
Kylie, you mean, yeah.
Kylie, yes. Kendall's the modeling one, right?
Kendall's the broke one. I call her the broke one. Even
though she's doing just fine.
She's doing just fine, trust me. You know what I mean? Like, but she's the broke one.
Like, the girls on Vanderpump Rules, like Lala Kent.
Yes, I like her. Yeah.
She started a makeup line, and she's selling it through social media and all this other stuff. Social media is a huge tool, and for a lot of us that can't afford to like buy a billboard or pay for TV commercials or whatever, it's a free tool. And then so like the video that I had that went viral, that was free. I didn't put any money into it. It just did it on its own. But then there are some other things that like I have put money into, and it's helped. I've never put a ton of money onto social media stuff, and I probably will in the future when I'm working more regularly. But I do think that it should be that, and that's what makes opera seem fun and also relatable. Opening night of the Metropolitan Opera of the entire season, there's always a whole bunch of famous people. I've seen Johnny Depp there. I've seen Jude Law, David Schwimmer, like just Laura Linney. Ivanka used to go.
Yeah.
And who else? But like just a ton of Sienna Miller, I think, was there. Like just a ton. But do you ever see that in Town and Country magazine after? Do you see it in Us Weekly? Like get some people showing up at the opera and Us Weekly, and it's going to be like Louis Vuitton. Everyone's going to want it or want to understand what it's about. But they don't.
Agree. I think people think like opera is kind of like a rich or an old person's kind of thing, where it's really not. You said you have these, older but younger people coming in, these very fashionable, elegant people, and it's like if you were to show that, maybe if you showed Kylie Jenner going to the opera,
Right.
would really like that younger generation would be like, oh, I gotta check out an opera. But I don't know any like young kids that are like, I want to go to the opera. They want to go
Right.
to a rock concert because it's
Well, and that's exactly, and that's what they do with product placement too. Like they can sell their product because they have Kylie carry it, and Us Weekly gets a picture of her coming out of a gin carrying a specific type of coffee, and then everyone wants the coffee, right? So it's no, but that's what it is, and we don't have any of that. The opera world moved into like wanting very, very pretty people on stage. And that was one of their tools, but I don't think that changing like the art form, because people are now singing repertoire that is heavier than what their voice types are, maybe. Because based on this is another thing. So as you go throughout time, the orchestra gets bigger. So a Mozart orchestra is much smaller than like a Wagnerian orchestra. Wagner created a lot of the brass instruments that we know today, and a singer has to sing over it. So a lot of times now we have people who are very, very pretty, but they don't actually have the instrument to carry over the orchestra. So then you do get people who come to the opera, they're like, I couldn't hear them. And then that's a problem, because if you can't hear the person very well, why you could go see the pretty person in the cinema, right?
Right.
So
That
get
is
the person from the cinema to go to the opera, and boom, there you go, problem solved. Like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that could be done differently, and hopefully it will. I think that COVID, one of the good things that has come out of it, it's created a world where we all have to be much more creative.
yeah.
We have to figure out how to make things work. And again, like the Turandot, I sang in Turandot, which is a Chinese fairy tale. I'll just tell you a little bit about it. So it's by Puccini. It's a Chinese fairy tale. I sang the title role. And it's a very big show. It's Puccini's last show. And we did it in Austria. And I did it with Opera in Steinbrück. And they have a great general director. His name is Daniel Serafin. And you can just feel how much he loves the art form and all of that.
Yeah.
But he's also very hip and fun and on social media. And so this was the coolest production I've ever seen or been in. Like the sets were just massive. I had like an actual Chinese like palace. And then there was like, we had guys on ropes coming off of cliffs because it's in a quarry. It's not in an opera house. It's outside. Okay. So there were about 5,000 seats. We had guys coming down on ropes, sword fighting on the mountain. We had guys doing full body fire. We had like swords and whips and things that were lit up on fire. There were like pyros, so like fireworky type things. The set had projections on it, so the colors were incredible. It was kind of like Disney does with the castle at Disney when they put the projection on it. And our set designer was incredible. He just did an Usher show in Vegas.
Wow.
And the director, like the stage director, Thaddeus Strasberger, is a genius. Like he's so awesome. So this production was amazing. And it started out being like the first night was sold out because that's always the way it is. And it was pretty much sold out from the very beginning. But then by the end of the run, because everyone had heard how amazing it was, every single show was sold out. 5,000 seats. 5,000 seats. And it's in the middle of nowhere. Not really. I don't know if people that live there would like me to say that. But it's like a suburb that's about a 45-minute to an hour drive from Vienna. So everyone who wants to come see it is committing to either staying out overnight there, and there's not that many hotels, so they're very expensive, or going out there, finishing the opera at midnight and driving back to Vienna. And we had people from all around the world coming, and it was amazing. And the outfits were cool. They had a great restaurant where people were getting food, and it was such a cool event. We were 3 Turandots, so there were many shows that I was not in because there were 3 of us, and I would go and watch each show. Like if I wasn't singing and I didn't have to sing the next day, I would go and watch because it was just so amazing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be, someone standing on the stage like barking at you, which is kind of what you get in like the cartoons of opera. That's what they make it look like it is, but it can be really cool. And we had literal stuntmen. We had stuntmen that were in the Matrix, the new Matrix movie.
That's awesome.
That were part of the show. Yep. And then with that director, then I went to Saudi Arabia because he was taking all the stunt guys, and I had been dating one of the stunt guys over the summer. And I was like,
Naughty
hey,
girl, I like it.
I'm like, you're taking all the stunt guys to Saudi Arabia. I want to go. And he's like, well, there's no opera thing in this project that I'm doing. And I was like, okay, well, I can be like fire safety because they always do these fire things, like full body burns, everything. And he's like, ha, ha, ha. And he called me like 2 weeks later and he's like, so here's the thing. The budget was already set. So like your budget's like, we're going to pay for all your travel and accommodations and we'll pay you, but it's not going to be like great. And it was good, but like, it wasn't, what he thought I deserved, which is very sweet. And then he was also like, and you can't be afraid of heights. And I was like, okay. So it was this crazy event. And this is, I had the most amazing experience in Saudi Arabia because after spending a year worried and still worrying about the children in Afghanistan that were in my friend's orchestra and all of them in general, and the fact that they have made music completely illegal there now, Saudi Arabia over the past 5 years has been completely relaxing their rules. When I was there, I could walk down the street in a pair of jeans and a shirt, as long as it wasn't like, this would be a little bit too low cut, but like not crazy. I didn't have to cover my hair. I went to the grocery store by myself. People waved and said hello to me. I did not feel at any point like I was where I wasn't wanted, like people didn't want me to be there. I felt very comfortable. I thought the people were really lovely. The average age there is 31, which is very interesting.
What?
The average age is 31 years old. And so I was there with Baylit. Yeah. And I was there with.
Go back to that after this because I'm like shocked.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a whole new generation of ideas and like the construction there is insane. Where we did our show had been desert. And so what they created was picture like a main stage that was the size of a football field.
Okay.
And then on each side of it, coming in at like a U, we would have like floats come down, and then about 4 football stadiums long was the drive out. So they did 8 different shows with floats and stuff that would drive into this. There were 750,000 people. And then after we did ours, I was the finale. And then after I performed, Pitbull performed. It had a $40 million budget. And this was just the opening of the season of their like tourism season, because they're trying to get a lot of tourists to come, and they're trying to compete with Abu Dhabi and Dubai and all that. And and it was, I mean, there were 2,760 drones that would make 3D shapes in the air. They had like jets. They turned into jets that would fight during the army scene. And then they had the king's face and the prince's face in 3D drones. Fireworks like I've never seen in my life. I think they used like an entire year's worth of Disney fireworks for one night. Like it was insane. But again, it was really cool to see all of this, and I got to sing. Obviously, I was the Winter Wonderland queen, and I was on top of a mountain, which was also like my dress. It was crazy. And they made me like they took an opera song, and then I sang it in a more kind of poppy way, and they recorded it and mixed it and all that, and then I sang over that there with like a crazy kind of techno-y Evil Circus soundtrack underneath it. It was insane. But I went with a company that does all of the opening and closing ceremonies for the Olympics and also the Super Bowl shows. So it was cool to like be a part of that world and to see that too. So as much as I love opera and I plan to always do opera, I really want to do some more crossover-y type things too. Because I think in the classical world, we get so stuck in some ways in the rules of what is okay to do and what isn't okay to do. Right. like a lot of opera singers will be the first people to say, well, Andrea Bocelli isn't an opera singer. And I'm like, Andrea Bocelli is selling out stadiums. Andrea Bocelli is older and can sing all of the music throughout the show and then go do another one the next night and then go do another one the next night. And like, is he trying to sing opera at La Scala all the time? It's like the Metropolitan Opera in New York. No. Does he occasionally, because of who he is and he can sell tickets? He sure does. And he's the closest thing to bringing people to the opera world, because people will be like, oh, you sing opera. I know, time to say goodbye. And I'm like, exactly. It's not really an opera song, but it's sung in an opera style. And they feel like they have a connection to it. And I think it's really important that like classical people don't get so hung up on like being judgmental and all of that, because that's what drives audiences away.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? Like being like, oh, this isn't completely perfect, da 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 da, and then people don't want to come because they're like, I don't understand enough about the opera, and I thought that was great, but like they're saying it's not, and like you know, there's value in whatever someone enjoys, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So if someone enjoys listening to Bocelli, I enjoy listening to Bocelli. I'm actually with his agency now, and I just saw him at Madison Square Garden, and the show was phenomenal. He brought in John Baptiste, who's a completely different type of artist. He had a girl who with a stand-up cello who was singing kind of more soul music, like all different kinds of music.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun event, you know?
That's
and so great. I want to be a part of fun events, right?
Yeah.
Where
you've got great energy.
Enjoy it and leave feeling like they got something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, because I don't want to like miss my thought because I already said it. So why is the average age 31 in Saudi Arabia? Do they die early?
I have no idea. It was just what I was told when I was there by one of the girls who works with Balich, because that's the company that does the Olympics and stuff. They go to do a lot of things in Saudi Arabia and like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, all of that. They do all of those big productions that they have there. And so it was interesting. She's been going there for 3 years now, I think. And she's like, every single time I come back, it's changed. And she was the one that told me that that's what the average age is. But it is a very young population. Like Italy is quite an older population.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons we got hit so bad with COVID, because we had so many people who were at risk. But when you walk down the street there, it's like a lot of young families and I don't know. But yeah, and now even like in hotels, which in other cities and countries over there you can't do, you can actually stay in a hotel room with someone you're not married to. The religious police is literally not doing anything. We were in a hotel that was not like a Western compound, because a lot of times when you go somewhere like that, they put all of the Westerners in places together. So if you do something there that's more of like our culture and not theirs, it's not offensive to them and that. And I do think when you go somewhere, you should try to be as respectful of their culture as you can.
100%.
But this time we were staying in a hotel that was mixed. And so it was very interesting. Like one of the people who worked the front desk told me that girls couldn't use the pool because after the age of 12, I think, because then it's dirty. But there was someone else who worked at the front desk who told some of my girlfriends that they could go to the swimming pool. So like one day everyone was at the swimming pool and I was like, we're not supposed to be on here. And they're like, no, it's fine. They said we could. And I was like, okay. And there were like a bunch of guys, like dancer guys, like doing catwalk stuff and like just being like how we would be at a party in New York City or Miami or whatever. And it was totally fine. There were some people like peeking through their windows because it was like in a courtyard. So like all the hotel room windows were around us. But we like called the police on us and it was just more of a curiosity, I think, on their part to be like, what are these people doing? But yeah, I don't know. And then someone brought her kids and the kids were in the kiddie pool while we were down there. So it really wasn't at all like what we see in the media sometimes, you know? And I think they're trying to go in the right direction, right? So find a country that doesn't have a messed up history, you know?
Yeah.
Country has had human rights problems and things like that. So, you know, the country that I visited, I would totally go back and sing and work there again, or even just go on vacation, because it was really beautiful. And the
Yeah.
construction's insane. Like they just put stuff up overnight. Like they have these high-rise buildings like I've never seen before in my life with like, it's
It's
just
like a
beautiful.
lot of oil money out there. I mean, there's certain countries that I know I'll never step foot in because I just can't help it. Like I have Tourette's of dirty jokes, you know. I'll be like, look at the dick," you know what I mean? Like I just can't help it. So like I would be arrested, and like they'd be like, women don't speak that way." I'd be like, "What are you talking about? I don't know if I'm a girl." No, I am a girl, but
Right. No. But I mean, I kind of felt the same way. And my parents were like, go to your rehearsals and then go back to your hotel room and don't do anything. And in the beginning, I was a little bit that way. But then, like, the more, because the grocery store was across the street and we'd get done with rehearsals super late. Oh, and this is another thing. It is a very late night culture there. The grocery store, like, doesn't close. Like, nothing closes because I think it's so hot during the day. But like,
oh,
go to dinner there at like 11 p.m., which is even late for European standards. Because like in Europe, we still go to dinner kind of a bit later than we do in the US, and we stay later because dinners are longer here. But there it was like a whole other thing, because we'd finish rehearsal at like 11:30, and be like, oh, I'm starving, too bad everything's closed. We would get back and everything was still open. Yeah. I lost my train of thought. But
oh, your
yeah.
parents were
But
telling you
one
to
of the
come
places
back.
but one of the places that we did go, well, we went to Chop Chop Square. My friend Finn, he's an aerialist, and he is non-binary, and he had long hair, long blonde hair. He just cut it all off, but it was like a long ponytail. He had gauges in his ears. He wore bright colored clothing. He's just like someone who loves life, and
Yeah.
being around him is really great. So we actually went to the old city center, which is where they have Chop Chop Square, which is what Westerners call it. It's where they used to cut off people's heads.
Oh,
So this is, yeah, and there's the markets there as well. They don't do that anymore now. I think they only do that for murderers and people who are selling massive amounts of drugs, and they do it within the prison. So it's not a ceremony thing anymore.
thank God.
Like we went there and we had coffee, and people kind of looked, you know, because they'd probably never ever seen anyone who looked like Finn before.
No.
Probably not even me, but like Finn's even more so like noticeable. And and we went through the markets and stuff, and everyone was really nice. And then one night we went back there, and there was some guy kind of like playing a little bit of music, and then Finn started dancing. And then all of a sudden, there's like 5 guys dressed in, you know, the white with the turban. I don't really know what it's called, so I don't want to use the wrong terminology, but dressed in the traditional way. And they're all dancing with Finn in the middle of this market. And I'm like, see, we are really all the same, you know? It's
Totally. Too bad you didn't get that. That would have been a viral video.
I have a picture. I thought I was filming, but it was a picture. But I'll send it to you in an email after, because it's just wonderful. And then I also went with Finn to the big tower. I forget what it's called. It's the one with the like big triangle cut out. It's massive. It's like a observation walkway. And so we're up there, and there's a guy who is very traditional, and his wives are also dressed in the all black, because even the women there now, they all usually wear the abaya, but there's like different versions of it. And I have to say, I kind of love the abaya. Like it sounds like it's repressive and all this other stuff, but it is actually kind of amazing to have a robe that you could just throw on over whatever and go out the door. Like I kind of loved it. Like I bought it. I didn't have to
like that. I kind of like that too, only because it's like, especially women, our whole wardrobe is not only expensive, it is complicated. I think it causes stress that God never intended.
True.
And then like we're putting these torture devices on our feet. I mean, just for God knows who. And it's just like the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, I wish there was just a dress you could just put on. I mean, I'd make mine pink, not black, but
it came in all different colors. They came in all different colors. I bought some. I have I have like a light blue pretty one. And then I have some that are more like with like glittery, like they sell beaded stuff. And no, I bought a bunch of them, and most of them are not black. But it was super nice because I could like throw on my jeans and like a white t-shirt and just throw it on ever over. And then obviously if I wanted to go out and look a certain way at night, I would dress like in my Western clothes, and that would be fun too. But it was still kind of really nice to just, yeah, I put this on and I'm comfortable and it's fine. But yeah, so what I was saying was at the observation tower with the women who were like in the full thing and their husband, and we were there, and Finn was like being Finn, and he started doing like handstands with like his legs in the splits.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, Finn. I was like, Finn, can we not do that here, please?
Yeah, that might be a little weird even here.
I know. I was like, we can't do that at the Sears Tower. Why are you doing it here? And so he was like, take my picture, take my picture. And then there was like another guy who was like helping him take his pictures. And I was like, okay. Like at no point did anyone tell us, hey, you can't do that, you know?
Yeah.
And so as the trip went on, we got more comfortable being ourselves to the point that some of us were doing handstands in the splits, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's so
Yeah.
exciting. I mean, what an amazing experience. And this has been, I know we're running out of time, so we have to wrap up. So I want to make sure, where can everybody find you?
Well, my website is Courtney Ann without an E Mills.com. And then I usually post and do most of my stuff on Instagram, and that's Courtney A Mills. So yeah.
Okay. And then what about, do you have any songs on Spotify or YouTube?
No, I need to do that. I have YouTube though. You can Google Courtney Ann Mills on YouTube and that will come up. And so I have two now. It's kind of like your Instagram thing. I have like the new one that has like the ones the manager put up, and then I have an old one which has my AOL screen name from back in the day. And he's like, you can't have an AOL screen name as your YouTube. And I'm like, true, but it won't let me change it. So that's Born to Love to Sing, and the twos are numbers.
What was it again? Born number 2?
Love to Sing. And those are just some of the older videos, but yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you guys go check her out if you're in an area where she's performing. So you can find the performance shows on your website?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, go check her out. I know when maybe I'll get over to Italy. I need to get over to Italy. I just
should
want to wait
come
till the
to it.
mandate crap has gone away and I can just freely go. And I don't want to get tested going there, and I don't want to get tested coming back. I don't want to get tested anymore. I'm done with the test. So as soon as those are off, I'm on the first flight over.
Fair.
Like,
I was just happy that I could do the rapid this time and not have to do the PCR, because that was always a pain. You had to like schedule it and then go within a specific amount of time. Oh.
I know, the whole thing is so crazy. I'm going to Mexico, and it's like I have to no tests to go there. Good, nothing. But when you come back, hopefully it might be gone by the time I go. But in order to come back, I mean, you do it at the airport. Like, you have to have a negative test to get back to the States.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? This is such a pain in the butt. I'm like, just drop the shit and move on. Like, I'm done. I'm so done with COVID. Ugh. It's over in my mind.
Kind of like everyone's had Omicron at this point, I think. When I was in New York City over Christmas,
Yeah, everybody.
I sang somewhere for New Year's Eve, and I think 15 people at the New Year's Eve thing that we know of tested positive after. So it's like, it's bad. If you have a health problem and if you're older, like, take care and don't be around people who maybe socialize too much. And I mean, we can just do the best, you know, trying to like wear masks when we're super close to someone or whatever, but we have to move forward. We have to get life going again.
And also the thing that controls us is fear. And the media is very good about that. They want to scare you to control you. So just remember, live in faith. Faith is God. Fear is government. Did I just say, am I going to get banned from Facebook? Good. Redo my Instagram account.
I mean, at the beginning, there was a real reason to not be traveling without being tested.
There was. I remember like washing down my groceries, like letting my mail dry out. I'm looking back at this like laughing. Like, oh my God.
I had like the Lysol wipes that I would like, I'd go to the grocery store and come home and use Lysol wipes on everything. And
I remember, traveling, like wiping my entire seat down, even though the air was safer, like putting a hood on to like my hair won't touch it. Not seeing my parents for 2 weeks when I like got back to Colorado, and I look back and I'm laughing. I've had COVID twice, and I'm like laughing I'm like, I cannot believe we fell for this. Like, but we didn't know enough about it, so we can't fault. We just have to look back and be like, wasn't that freaking funny? But now again, I liked what I said. Let's preach that. I like what I said. Faith is God, fear is government. Pick your poison.
That's a good one. I like it.
I like it. I think we got to make that go viral, because you just got to live in faith, right? You can't live in fear. And faith is good, and life is good, and there's so many blessings and amazing things around. And just be kind to each other and lift each other up, and don't be a troll on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you are.
No.
And music and the arts are a very good way to lift your spirits if you're feeling a little bit down, and also connect with people. So I appreciate you coming on to share more about the opera and educating somebody so naive as me, who's only been to one opera and was like, what, I have to read?
I hope I didn't go off on too many tangents.
No, I mean, I could have listened to you talk even longer, because I'm just sitting here and you're talking about the one, the show you did in outside of Vienna, and you're talking about the suburbs, and I'm thinking, what does an Italian suburb look like? Does it look like the suburbs in the States? And then you're talking about Saudi Arabia, and I'm just picturing all this magic. And you're a very good storyteller. You should tell more stories. I like it.
Thanks. But I really like what you said about the faith thing, and I think
thank you.
Why, so singing is a part of who I am, and it's a physical expression, but I think it's a language of faith. And I think that's how, like, my video that did go viral and it connected with so many people, I think that comes from something bigger than myself, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be a specific version of faith, right? Because I think God connects with all of us. And I think music can connect with all of us. And I think it's, for me, music brings me closer to that. So
yeah. Well, I love it. Well, thank you so much.
My better version of myself. So.
Yeah, right. There you go. Well, thank you so much. You guys go check out Courtney Ann, Mills.com. Check out her YouTube channel. What is it again?
Yeah, it's Courtney Ann Mills again.
Oh, again. Okay. I thought you meant the other.
Yeah, either one is fine.
Okay. So yeah, you guys go check out that. Follow her on Instagram, Courtney A. Mills. Again, if you haven't rated or subscribed to the show, please do. I would love you forever for that. And I appreciate each and every one of you that has tuned in and continue to follow the Next to Madison podcast. We've got so many great episodes coming up for you. So stay tuned, stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.